Hello, my name is Kelsey, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Bobble Chevron blanket using Tunisian Crochet. I have a free pattern available on my blog, as well as another pattern for the same blanket but using regular crochet. Here's a little sample of what we're going to be making, and I'm going to be showing you how to make a Tunisian bobble in 2 different methods. I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and please enjoy. And for the video, I'm going to be using this Lion Brand Feels Like Butter and a pretty dusty pink to help show the stitch definition. All right, so we're gonna start by chaining 29. You can make this blanket in any size by making your initial chain a multiple of 14 plus 1. All right, so we have our chain of 29. Now, if you're new to Tunisian crochet, every single row is made up of a forward pass and a return pass, and the return pass will be exactly the same for each row. All right, so we have our chain 29, and now we're gonna draw up a loop in the back bump of each stitch. So here's the front of the chain, and here's the back. And right here is this little back bump. We're gonna start in the second one from the hook. And so by doing it on the back bump, it's gonna be creating a really clean edge on the bottom. But as you can see, I am drawing up a loop and keeping the loop on my hook for the forward pass. Here we go. And you should have 29 loops on your hook. And so now we're going to do our return pass. And the return pass is going to be exactly the same for every single row. So even though the foundation row is slightly different than the rest of the pattern, the return pass will be exactly the same. So once you get this down, it'll be super easy. All right, so we're going to start by chaining 1. So we'll yarn over and draw through just one of the loops on your hook. Yarn over, draw through 2 loops, and then repeat that across. Yarn over, draw through 2 loops. And this is like creating the vertical bar that we're going to be working our stitches into for the rest of the pattern. Or draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. And for me, Tunisian crochet is just like super addicting because of this return pass. It's just like, just glides through, and it just makes it hard to ever put your project down because you're just come quickly hooked, literally. All right, and now I have 2 loops left on the hook, and I'm gonna yarn over and draw through 2, and I just have 1 left. All right. And so now we're gonna get started with our, what I call just a non-bobble regular row for this chevron pattern. And so this whole pattern is basically made up of 2 types of rows. There's the non-bobble row and then the bobble row with a color change to differentiate sections. Okay, so we're gonna get started. This is a non-bobble row. So we're gonna start by making 1. There's gonna be peaks and valleys because it's a chevron. So by making 1, we are adding an extra loop on our hook that's going to make up for where we do a Tunisian simple stitch 3 together. So when we do that, we'll be taking 3 stitches and making it 1. So we'll be making 1 throughout the row to make up for that, so that our blanket doesn't get like kind of like a triangle. So we always have the same number of stitches. So by making 1, we're going to be inserting our hook underneath the top 2 vertical bars in the same place that you would make your normal crochet stitch in normal crochet. Then you yarn over, pull up a loop, and leave that loop on the hook. So that's making 1. Next, we're going to be Tunisian simple stitching for 5 stitches. So to Tunisian simple stitch, this is your little vertical bar right here. You insert your hook under this top front vertical bar, yarn over, draw up a loop, and leave that loop on the hook and see how it kind of pulls that loop over. All right, so that was 1. Let's do 4 more. Insert your hook under that vertical bar, yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over, drop a loop. So that was 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now we're coming up to our first Tunisian simple stitch 3 together. It's a mouthful, but it's super easy. So you have these 3 vertical bars right here. We are going to be inserting our hook underneath all 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 at the same time. So we took 3 stitches and turned it into 1. All right, so now we're going to do just a basic Tunisian simple stitch for the next 5. 3, 4, 5. All right, so where we Tunisian simple stitch 3 together, that's going to be the valley, the little point on our chevron. And now we're going to do the peak. So to do that, we're going to first make 1, just like we did before, insert under those top 2 vertical bars, yarn over, drop a loop. Then we are going to Tunisian simple stitch 1. Then we're going to make another 1. Do make 1 again. All right, so now we're basically back at where we started with the repeat, and we're going to just repeat the same thing again. So we're going to do 5 Tunisian simple stitches, 5. Now we're going to Tunisian simple stitch 3 together, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to make 1 again. And now we are at the end of our row. And so we're going to work into this last stitch a little bit different. You're going to turn your work to the side, and you can see there's these 2 side bars right here. Insert your hook underneath them, then yarn over, drop a loop just like before. And by doing that, that's going to make our edge a lot cleaner and look nice. All right, so now we're back and we have 29 loops on our hook again. And we're going to do our return pass just as normal. So yarn over, pull through 1, and that's chaining 1. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 all the way across. All right, so that was row 2. So you can kind of see how it's forming the chevron pattern, and as we continue on after the next row, it'll be a lot more obvious. All right, so we're going to do 1 more of the basic rows, and then we're going to do a bobble row. So we're going to start by making 1. And then Tunisian simple stitch 5. And then we're gonna Tunisian simple stitch 3 together. So insert it under 3 vertical bars, yarn over and draw up a loop. I'm gonna do 5 Tunisian simple stitches again. Now in the pattern, it'll tell you exactly how many rows to do of each. But for this one, I'm just trying to give you get you comfortable with each type. All right, so we're gonna make 1 again. Tunisian simple stitch. This is our peak, make 1. We're gonna do 5 Tunisian simple stitches. Next, we will Tunisian simple stitch 3 together. Tunisian simple stitch in the next 5 stitches. make one, and then do the final stitch, which again, we have these two side vertical bars, insert our hook under both, yarn up and draw through a loop. Now we have our 29 loops on the hook. We're gonna do a return pass, and then our chevron pattern should be looking really good. So yarn over, draw through one, yarn over two, and then do two across. All right, there we go. That was row 3, and next we are going to be working our bobble row, but you can already see there's the chevron pattern, and we're going to be working our bobbles into here, 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 and here. All right, we're gonna start this bobble row just like we do the other rows, where we're gonna make one, but we're gonna Tunisian simple stitch 2, that's 1, 2, and we're gonna do our bobble in this. Now, I'll say that there are 2 methods to making a bobble in Tunisian crochet, and they involve like where you insert your hook. So you can do it either Tunisian simple stitch style, where you insert under like that, or you can do it knit style, where you insert in between the 2 vertical bars to drop your loop. I like doing it the simple stitch style because it makes the bobble kind of like pop up more and be more like 3-dimensional. Whereas if you do it the knit style, it's gonna be broader and like more wide and not like as 3-dimensional. So you can play around and you can do whichever one you prefer. There's no right or wrong way. All right, so to get started, we're gonna yarn over, insert our hook, either simple stitch style or knit stitch style, yarn over, pull through your loop. So you have these 2 loops from the bobble, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops, and I like to pull it tight. Now we're gonna repeat that 4 more times, and then we'll have 5 loops on our hook just from the bobble. Yarn over, insert it, yarn, all right, got 2, yarn over, pull through those 2. All right, 3 more times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over. All right, so that's 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna yarn over and pull through those 5 stitches and then pull it down tight like that. All right, and that is how you make a bobble. Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna, so this was the stitch we just worked on, and see how I did it under the vertical bar. Now we're gonna do 2 Tunisian simple stitches. So 1, 2, and then we're gonna Tunisian simple stitch 3 together, just like we did before. 1, 2, 3. So there's that, and then we're gonna do repeat again. So Tunisian simple stitch 2, 1, 2. Now we're gonna make another bobble. So yarn over, insert it, yarn, pull through, yarn over, draw through 2, and repeat that 4 more times. Three. All right, so I have my 5 stitches, yarn over, pull through all 5, and then I pull down the bobble to tighten it up. Or draw through 1. All right, now we're back at our peak, so we're gonna start the peak by making 1 Tunisian simple stitch, and then make 1 again. And there we go, that's our first section of bobbles. Now I like to make my baubles like this because I'm making it for a baby, so I think they're kind of fun to play with and I think they look cool. But for these next two baubles, I'm going to show you how to do it Tunisian knit stitch style, just so you can see both and you can make your blanket however you want. All right, so Tunisian simple stitch 2. All right, so we're going to do this one, this bobble right here, Tunisian knit stitch style. So yarn over, insert your hook in between the two vertical bars, yarn over. See how it's in between those two? Drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and repeat that again. So you got 3. One, 2, 3, 4. And then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now yarn over, pull through all 5, pull it down tight. And right now you can't really tell the difference. Well, you can a little bit, but once we finish the next row, it'll be like a lot more obvious. So Tunisian simple stitch 2. And the great thing about crochet is you can make any changes you want and make the blanket however you want. Just get creative, as creative as you'd like. 2. I'll do a bobble, Tunisian knit stitch style, yarn over, insert in between those two vertical bars right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over and pull through all 5 of those and pull it down. And then Tunisian simple stitch in these last 2. Make 1. And then work our final stitch in the edge as usual. All right, so now we got our bobbles done and we have 29 on our loops on our hook. We'll do our return pass as usual. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and complete that all the way across. And after we do the next row, it'll be really a lot more like clear the difference between the two different bobble styles. And your bobbles will be a lot more pronounced. So like right now, if they look flat, don't worry. Just get another row done and you'll be able to see them a lot better. And if they're still like really loose and flat, just make sure you're pulling them tight down after you pull through all the 5 loops. There we go. There's our 2 different bobble styles so far. That's the Tunisian simple stitch variety and that's the Tunisian knit stitch. So let's do a regular row. We're going to do 1 regular row and then I'm going to show you how to slip stitch bind off for your final. That's what you'll do at the very end of the pattern for your last row to make a clean edge. All right, so we made 1. Then we'll do Tunisian simple stitch 5. And for here on the bobble, you can still see the vertical bar. All right, and then we're gonna simple stitch 3 together. Then 5 simple stitch. Now we're gonna, for our peak, we're going to make one. And make one again. And do 5. So there's for the knit, you can still see the vertical bar. Right, we're gonna make one and then work that final stitch. Okay, here we go. Our return pass as usual. All right, there we go. So as you can see, these bobbles doing the Tunisian simple stitch method are a lot more like 3-dimensional and they pop out, whereas the knit stitch method, they're broader, more wide, and they don't go as vertical. I think these are fun for babies. You can do either one, doesn't matter. It's your project, you make it how you want. All right, so now I'm gonna show you how you would slip stitch bind off to end your blanket, to finish it. And that'll give you a nice clean edge similar to the bottom. All right, so basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna end the row by like slip stitching in each stitch, and you won't be adding stitches to your hook. So you'll be, by the time you get to the end, you won't have it. You'll just have one on the end. All right, so we do a make one as usual. Yarn over, pull through, draw through that loop, and that's your slip stitch. Tunisian simple stitch as usual. Yarn over, pull through. So by continuing to work like the same stitch style as the previous rows, you're just like continuing that look. We did 5 Tunisian simple stitches, and now we'll Tunisian simple stitch 3 together. And as you can tell, super clean, pretty looking edge, just like the bottom. Do 5 Tunisian simple stitch. And now we're back at the peak. So we'll do a make one again. And slip stitch. Then do the Tunisian simple stitch. One more make one. And then we'll just repeat what we just did all the way down, and we will be done. Then simple stitch 3 together. And then just like before, we will make one to just define this peak, and then do the last stitch. And at this point, you just cut your yarn and weave in your ends. I'm not going to do that, but here you go. And this is what your finished swatch should look like. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you go and check out some of my other videos, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a great day.